I'm the best.
Oh. Good evening. It's Friday, May 27th, 2022.
Really?
I heard that somewhere.
Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. What was I?
In USD, a good reason to take baths with toasters sometimes.
Yeah, no. I'm RisenLadyHeathen. Hey,
Catch.
asshole, what separates our show from other millennial news podcasts?
That 66% of this table knows not to drink Four Locos? I don't know.
We have a boomer, and not just any boomer. We have Mr. Boomer Rex himself.
Only because I haven't escaped.
That's true. You two eat, sleep, and breathe politics, and I'm learning. That's three unique perspectives we share along with the facts from our literal round table.
All right.
There has been a lot of discouraging and disappointing back and forths with this whole Uvalde thing, but we will talk about that throughout the show. So for right now, let's just dig right into our headlines. Who is Cinder?
Well, this is great. So, Montana-based firefighter Nate Sink is walking around in northern New Mexico in the burn zone, right, putting out the hot spots, be sure it doesn't rekindle, etc., etc. And he comes across a little dead elk calf. And so he approaches it and so forth, and it's lying there in the ashes. And he realizes it's not dead.
Oh.
So he and his friends look all over for mommy footprints, and there just aren't any.
Yeah.
Right, so the standard thing is don't move the baby because mom is right there. Well, no, there are no mommy footprints anywhere they can find. And he's pretty badly singed, and clearly in a bad way.
Yeah.
So they drag him off to a vet, and she gets him all rehydrated and appropriately nutritioned. And so now the little bull calf has been named Cinder,
Aww.
and he's been placed in the care of an adult elk to bring him up elk-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Aww.
So I assume if it had been a girl, they would have called it
Cinder.
Ella.
Or just Cinder. There
I
was
think
a Cinderella that was just called Cinder.
Peace. I would have said Cinderella. But anyway. No. But looks like the little calf's going to make it. So there will be one more.
Internet run. They've started this off with good stories. It's going to be fucking bad.
I've been trying to start with amusing stories or interesting stories or, right.
And I try to throw in good stories when I can find them, but they are few and far between because I'm not a fan of feel-good pieces. I want real, like, funny or like the diver and the Jason Voorhees, right? Like, that is a good, funny story.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't tell me that's not awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
But I don't like to do these.
But it's why I
Feel
learned about
good
the scallop-headed
pieces.
hammerheads, because they were in the shark cano.
Kano.
Well, and my
keep trying to
problem,
say Nate.
yeah, the
I
Sharknado
know.
was a good one.
No, Sharknado is something different.
Yeah.
No, my problem with feel-good pieces is I tend to pick them apart and be like, the problem is, if this was not a problem, this wouldn't be a problem, and this wouldn't have had to be fixed.
That's why all the corporate happy ending stuff makes me so crazy about well, look, this one, like, fast food place gave this one employee enough money to buy a car.
Yeah.
Wait, that means you are not paying your employees enough
Not to buy
money
a
to
car.
be able to afford a car to get to and from
Say,
work.
wait a minute.
Holy shit, that's probably a bigger problem.
Yeah, failed state.
Yep.
So, no, if you want another good story, I've noticed there have been, over the past 3 or 4 years, there have been several stories about, people getting fishing nets off whales and stuff. And many of them end with the whale going up to each of the divers and apparently, sort of saying thank you or,
Yeah,
coming
acknowledging-
close enough
yeah.
to touch them or whatever. And I wonder.
That's what
Whales are like the elephants of the sea.
Mhm.
They think humans are adorable.
Oh, yeah. No, they're what
Yeah, that's
nitrates
true.
the ocean. Like, whales are one of those things we are really going to miss, and we're going to know when they're gone.
Yep.
Or cross the critical threshold into too few.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that went from a fun story to a bummer story. We're awesome at this. So let's move on. Russian lawmakers in hot water for urging Putin to end Ukraine conflict.
Well, this should probably now say Russian lawmaker, because during the Legislative Assembly of Primorovsky Cry, a local lawmaker and a member of the communist faction of the legislature, read a statement urging Putin to pull out Russian troops.
Right.
And he says, if our country does not halt the military operations, then there'll be even more orphans in our country. So while he's reading this statement, he's got other lawmakers and the governor of the region, Oleg Kuzmenko, trying to silence him.
Yeah.
Saying you're tarnishing the reputation of the Russian army and you're a traitor. And so it had been signed by 4 of the communist lawmakers, 2 of whom disavowed their signatures in the meeting.
Yeah.
So part of this was how much it reminds me of today's, quote, Republican Party, and how quickly they run away if they annoy the maggots, right? And
Right.
so, the retribution, the total lack of
Yeah.
any spine.
It's why they haven't
yeah.
taken their party back. They can't.
No spine.
Well, and know that they'll lose a primary to an absolute loon
Yeah.
who doesn't even care if they can't win the general.
Yeah.
Right? That there is no, right, all the time during the Trump administration, the left bits of the press would fall over themselves trying to figure out how Trump was playing 4-dimensional chess. These motherfuckers aren't even playing tic-tac-toe level strategy.
Right.
No, there was once a company I worked for that had been perfectly piggy to a number of people. And when I had had enough and left, within a couple of months, I found out that they were looking at a guy to replace me that I knew was a perfect idiot. And so I arranged to talk to some folks and suggest that he would be the perfect solution to their problems.
That's awesome.
So anyway, aw shucks.
That's
Oh,
why
right.
it was beneficial when loyalty flowed both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Boomer
Oh
Rex-
yeah, if I hadn't watched him fuck with
Oh, yeah,
people,
no, exactly.
I would never have done that. I'd have picked up the phone and said, no, don't hire that guy. He's a perfect fucking idiot.
No, but it's part of why, the Trump administration leaked so badly, is that's how
Yeah.
the system's designed.
Yep.
All right, Boomer Rex is about damn time. Tell me the good
Oh,
news.
I love
Sir,
this
I
one.
love good news.
So, little wannabe Adolf Hitler with his little mustache and
Ah,
so
yes.
forth.
Timothy Hale.
I do believe.
Yep, Timothy Hale Cusanelli.
Yes.
Anyway, so he told the jury this week that he didn't know the Capitol building was where Congress meets. And he says he knows it's idiotic, but he said, I'm from New Jersey and I feel like an idiot and it sounds idiotic, but I didn't know the Capitol building was the same as the Congressional building. And so he told the federal prosecutor, he became infamous for photos surfaced showing him with a Hitler mustache, etc., 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 telling co-workers Hitler should have finished the job, etc., etc. Anyway, he's been held in jail since February, partly due to his extremist views. 34 of his acquaintances told prosecutors that he held extremist or radical views pertaining to Jewish people, minorities, and women. But he got up
And those
said,
are all the people
I
that are more
can't
than
be
willing to
guilty
tell on
because
you.
I didn't know the Capitol building was where they did their legislating, and therefore I'm not guilty of interfering with, yeah.
I think he was angling for that kid who was seen on video shouting about, "We're taking the White House!" We let that one wander off because
So today
you're
they
insurrecting.
Yeah.
today the jury convicted him on all 5 counts,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and his sentencing is set for September 16th.
Yeah, that's kind of weak. Like, how do you not know the Capitol building is where Congress lives?
How do you think
You
you,
don't
should be
think-
party to a? How do you think you should be the guys taking over to set up the new government? You don't know how this government works.
Well, that's kind of my thing. I remember being taught
Oh,
about
you're
all that.
assuming he's telling the truth, and I'm
Oh, yeah.
assuming he's lying.
They taught us that in school.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
No.
how do you not
Like I
know
said,
that?
I think he was aiming to be
Yeah.
through the same little round hole as the kid who didn't know what building he was in.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, dumbass of the day. Warning, MAGA misinformation ahead.
Oh my God, the MAGA crowd has found. Oh my God. So there's now a far right, and it's a conspiracy theory, right? It's not true. that Kellogg's has announced that one of the mascots for Rice Krispies is now a transgendered woman. This would be Pop. Remember, there's Snap, Crackle,
The
and
Kellogg
Pop.
brothers were the great American cum doctors. The whole goddamn company's weird, and they have a mercenary army. But yeah, let's freak out about the thing that isn't true.
The graphic, right, a spoof on a CNN story, blares, Kellogg spokesperson announces, etc., etc., etc. And they had modified Pop to have rosy cheeks, eyelashes, and a purple ponytail.
Maybe it's rare.
Kellogg says, we've made no changes to the mascots. So, anyway, but you got maggots out there repeating that to each other.
Oh yeah.
And you gotta laugh. Gotta laugh.
They've got what I don't understand is this is supposed to keep them all like, crazy and riled up and
Yeah.
last stand feeling and all the
Yeah.
okay. But I don't understand how that works, because like, how do you get wrapped up in shit that isn't there?
Yeah.
Like, there's enough actually wrong that you can
Well,
talk
but most
yourself
of
into
the
crazy.
stuff that's wrong, right? The owners of the maggot movement,
Fair.
the last thing they want to do
Yeah.
is have the maggots mad at, the failed state.
Yeah.
And saying we need a decent minimum wage and we need decent health care, et cetera, et cetera. They got to keep them scared that Merca's changing.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Well, and that at least fits with what they can see, right? That they know something's changed and broken.
Yeah. We have billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
We nearly have a trillionaire.
All right.
So-
Biden nears decision on student loans as inflation worries mount.
Good old half-step Joe Biden, right? I just...
Don't upset the apple cart. It's working great.
You
boss.
can take the you can take the boy out of Amex, but you can't take the Amex out of the boy.
Yep.
Fair.
So what Biden's considering is a $10,000 payment,
Yep.
right, for everybody who makes less than $125,000. And we've already explained that means a high fraction of the people who needed some relief are going to have trouble getting it because they have to prove what their salary is.
Right.
So
And they're gonna remember
anyway,
who made
it's
this hard for them.
perfectly standard Biden, right? Hot step Joe.
Yep.
Anyway, keep it up, Biden, because I tell you what, Trump doesn't like you, and when he's president, he's going to send some folks from the Justice Department to fuck your family up.
Yep.
So
Hunter Biden may
Anyway.
well die in a cage,
yeah,
and I don't care. Like, that kid had a good run,
yeah,
and if they decide to start extracting joy out of the Democrat end of the ruling class first, I'm fine with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they certainly will have earned it if Trump comes back to power in 2024.
Yeah.
So pull your head out, Democrats. Do something for working folks. and
Pretend you've
stop,
seen one goddamn
stop
horror movie.
fucking around
The shark
with
didn't
these
fuck off somewhere else.
meaningless gestures that are still going to let the Republicans say, "Oh, you're just being good to the elite few."
Or the hyper poor who already are gonna what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
This doesn't help you with the suburbs. You need to win.
We need to stop fucking around with gun control. This is not going to win us the election.
No, it will absolutely
It
lose
will-
us the election.
It will, as it has every time we've tried to talk
Yep.
about it, it will lose us the election. And then guess what? This whole abortion discussion we've been having, you might as well throw it out the
Completely
window.
irrelevant.
It'll
Yeah.
be completely useless once Republicans are back in power. And then, they're going to be watching women's uteruses more than they, care about how many guns are anywhere in any
Yeah,
given.
absolutely. Well,
in
the
time.
point
They don't give
is
a
that in
fuck.
the short term, the split second the Republicans realize that we're talking about gun control, they won't say another thing on abortion.
Yep.
Because abortion was a winning issue for us, and gun control is a straight up loser.
Yeah, stop talking about it, Democrats.
Yep.
Fucking wake up. All right. Mental health issue in the pulpit.
All right. So there's this pastor named Shelley. I mean, he's got a long history of hateful anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. But usually he only calls for the death of LGBTQ people in his church. Now he's trying to get public officials to execute gay people. So the city council was taking public comment on proposed resolution to honor June as Pride Month. And he comes in and he says, horrified and ashamed, the city would promote and solicit pride, celebrate what used to be a crime not long ago. Yeah, that was one of the problems. It was considered a crime. He says, The average LGBTQ personally molests, just completely idiotic. He says 20 to 150 children. Guys, there's no evidence for that at all. And in fact, the people who are most likely to molest children are white, straight men.
Yep.
So, and that's always been that way, right? Again,
That's who has enough experience in life, kind of just going their way because they showed up.
and has enough privilege, they might kind of halfway get away with it
Yeah.
once. Yeah. And we have lots of court cases that suggest that, yeah, if you're upper middle class and white and so forth, yeah, you can get away with rape.
It's literally in every 80s movie.
Yeah.
I mean, for a reason. These are the bad guys from that.
So anyway, just this litany of false accusations and, the standard nonsense. And the photographs are great because he has this little idiot beard.
Yeah.
And just, you'd look at him on the street and go, that's a maggot.
Yep, right.
So, yeah.
No,
Just
listen
avoid
to him,
it.
that human's going to be shouting.
Yeah.
And wrong.
Yep. Oh my God, coffee has arrived. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And from a nice clean pot, so I'll bet it tastes better.
Sure.
Well, it's also got a nice clean cup because I'm nice.
Okay.
Mark it down right in there.
Yeah, not only did I, clean the coffee maker the proper way with vinegar and such, but I also cleaned their coffee cups, which I think they might clean once a week. Maybe. If it's a good week. All right. Are we ready to move on to updates?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Updates with the BoomerRex health threats.
Okay, so monkeypox.
Yes.
Yeah, we had lots of warning about this and completely ignored it.
Right.
Nigeria had nothing but isolated cases of monkeypox up to about 2017. And then they started sort of a running, you can't say epidemic, but they were having monkeypox kind of continuously at a very low level in their population.
Right.
But it's Africa, so nobody much fucking cared. So we had lots of warning on this. And that outbreak should have suggested to us that something has changed in the demographics. Most likely that the unvaccinated are now in an age range that is more sexually active and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, we blew it. Again, wake up, World Health Organization. Need to look around and say, why is this happening? Why is it different? So health weirding.
All right. Health weirding.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. And on that note, let's move on to climate weirding.
This one was just noteworthy because the Forest Service has finally admitted they started the two fires that joined together to burn 350,000 acres of New Mexico. The first one was a previous, burn of slash and so forth that was not as dead out as they thought it was. And then the other one, right, was a control burn
That
got out of hand. So you say, well, what does that have to do with climate weirding? What it has to do with climate weirding is the forests were drier than normal,
Right.
and you suddenly got winds that were much higher than you had expected based on climatology.
Right.
Right? Yeah, they were predicted, but by then you've already lit the forest, and it's too fucking late to put it out.
Right.
So anyway, and it got away. So, perfect example of climate weirding.
And then we have Skywatch.
Yep. So meteor shower, what's coming is a comet that fragmented. And if it fragmented in a reasonably common way, then there should be a fucking herd of meteors. And those should occur, the night of May the 30th. So Monday night going on Tuesday morning. It'll be around 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight, so 31 May on the East Coast, 10 p.m. Pacific Daylight, right, on Monday the 30th, right? So you need to be kind of up, maybe go outside at 9 and come back in at 11. It could be a lot of fun.
Hell
So,
yeah.
And this is one that could be a literal meteor storm, right? Where you have thousands of visible meteors.
Right.
So is that guaranteed? Hell no. And it's also possible we won't see anything, right? But we're coming very close to the path of a comet that's shattered. So, and put out lots of dust and little pieces and so on, which is what meteors are.
Right.
So, okay, cool. Love it.
All right, so maybe we start the next conversation with the fact that, despite recent events, the NRA still held their convention today in Texas
Of
because
course they did.
here's the chance that they had to do something good and say, we're gonna put it off for a couple weeks for mourning, right? Something like that. To take time to, deal with this before we decide to, move
they'd already
forward.
paid. They're not as fat with Russian money as they previously have been.
But this was a chance for them to show some amount of goodwill and giving a fuck. And they aggressively did the
No, they're
opposite.
even whining that this has made it stressful for them. Yeah, fine.
Puts pressure on them.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Not nearly
pressure.
as stressful as it was on the kids who bled out.
Yep.
Or as stressful on the parents who were begging the fucking pussy-ass cops to go in and get their goddamn kids.
We'll get out of the way so they could.
Or as stressful as it was for that one mother who actually went into the school and got her kids.
Pussy ass, that's a synonym for Texan, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
doubt it.
Just checking.
apparently.
What is it they call that? All hat and no cattle?
Yes. Oh, it makes
All
me
hat and no
laugh.
cojones.
No, this is the worst of fucking bureaucracy. They had to spend their budget, otherwise they couldn't ask for more next year. So of course they found ways to things. It's why we're never going to find an end to the, well, we got to harden the schools. Or make it so there's one way in and one way out. Like, that's going to be awesome. What do you do when there's two shooters and one of them's over watching the door? But anyway.
Yeah, which has already happened.
I know. That's why I didn't feel weird talking about it. There's some
Yeah.
stuff I hard avoid. Because it's one of those, no
Yeah.
one's thought of that. That's cute.
Yeah, no, and we won't talk about that. So anyway, I wanted to, do we say a call out?
Is it a good one or a bad one?
This is a good one.
Oh, yeah, sure.
This is Mia Cerrillo,
Yeah.
little girl who was in the midst of the murdered folks, who recognized that she was in trouble, and she smeared herself with the blood from one of her dead friends, and she and another friend found the dead teacher's cell phone, and they started calling 911.
And played dead when the shooter was looking
And
at
played
him, yeah.
dead when the shooter was around. Anyway, at 12:16, and this one's going to be, no, I'll go through the whole list.
Smart
At 12:03.
little fucking girls.
Right? She called, identified herself, and whispered that she was in room 112. At 12:10, she called back, advised there were multiple dead. At 12:13, she called back again on the phone. And then at 12:16, she called back and said there were 8 or 9 students still alive in the room. So remember that 12:16. Another person called from room 111 at 12:19. And remember, this is while you've got 20 jackass cops from Uvalde stacked up in the hall doing fucking nothing, sitting there with their goddamn thumbs in their
And
fucking asses.
They were saying there was at least 19 of them in the hallway just hanging out. 19 motherfuckers just hanging out in the hallway, like, chilling. Fuck.
So, anyway.
Four-man teams. You
Um,
could have hit them from every direction.
Mia called back at 12:36 and is asking again, please send police and so forth. She was told to stay on the line and be very quiet, which is a good idea, because,
She should have been told to stay on the line the first time.
yeah, I know. She's saying,
Unless you said it quickly and hung up.
she's saying, please send the police now. She said that she could hear the police next door. Shots were fired. They can be heard over the 911 call. And then at 12:51, it's very loud. Sounds like the officers are moving children out of the room. And at the time, the first child that called was outside. The call cuts off. So she made it out. Way to go, Mia.
Yeah,
Yep.
and your
Way to
friend,
fucking, yeah. And to get your friends to help. And you've done good. And she's 11.
Well,
I
same
say-
with that little boy that
That's-
hid under the
Yep.
He hid under a table that had a cloth over it.
Yeah.
And him and his friend were hanging out under there. And he's the one that reported on a lot of the stuff that was going on in that room that nobody knew about beforehand.
Yep. So anyway, I want to go back to 1216 because we had asked yesterday, right? When did Vortak show up? Right, and
Yeah.
of course everybody's saying, you know, they showed up, they stacked up,
Yeah,
and they went
12:40,
in.
whatever, right? And
Yeah.
It was 15 minutes, which seemed long, but
Right. So they actually showed up between 12 and 12:10,
whoops.
and they were prevented from entering the room by the fucktard who was the quote incident commander. He had no reason to be an incident commander, totally
If no one
unqualified for
commanded
that.
this incident, they called my team. Get out of the way.
Yeah.
I
Anyway. So, at that time there were 8 or 9 kids alive in the room,
Yeah.
right? All they had to do was go in. We don't know how many bled out while they sat in the corridor with their thumbs in their butts.
Hey man, providing a perimeter for the bad guy?
You know,
Oh, and let's not forget that little boy I was telling you about. He gave us some very shocking and, for me, very disturbing information. So when the cops were finally coming, in, they were outside in the hallway and they said, if there's anybody in there, tell us you need help. So a little girl said, help, and then was murdered by the gunman because, well, you're alive and you're saying
He
help.
wasn't down yet.
yeah.
And then the cops entered and shot him.
So we should honor his name is Peter Arredondo. He's the chief of police for the Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District.
Where was he?
Oh yeah, now there's a fabulous organization, which by the way is 40% of the budget
Oh, yeah.
for the city of Uvalde.
Hey, look around.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's
I
not-
wonder whose
And he's the
pocket
one who
it's in.
prevented people from entering while people were being shot.
I
in
bet
the
you
room.
it's in his pocket.
So
That's
anyway,
where that money is.
the part I don't understand is once Vortak showed up, why the commander of the Vortak team didn't shove the suppressor end of an M4 into the guy's fucking jaw and say, if you don't get out of the way, I'm going to kill you right here in the hall.
Yeah.
And then we're going to make entry.
I'm gonna get that
Yeah.
too.
Then I'm going to go in, I'm going to shoot the shooter, I'm going to frame him for shooting you.
Yeah.
Everyone here is going to lie.
Yep.
Because you know why? I'm not going to arrest all my guys at once. You know what that means?
Yeah.
Any of your guys look snitchy, into
Yeah,
the woods
I
where
just-
you go.
How do you stand there?
No, fuck. I don't. I have nothing
Especially
else
not
to say.
Vortak. So I would be interested
So you're
in
willing to throw
seeing,
people in vans with your name tapes off, but not.
not willing to enter a room
No,
where you
I-
might get shot at?
I don't think
Wow.
we're ever going to find it out. But my guess is the first 2 guys who got shot at knew it was an AR-15 looking thing. And everyone with their soft body armor said, fuck, I'm not dying today. Fuck those kids.
Yeah.
No, it's like the kid who got told to call out and did. We have to choose to believe that that was an intentional, tactic used, as opposed to just, you got her killed through incompetence. Just, don't even know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
You've been cashing checks for a long time that say you know how to do some stuff.
Yep. No, I think there's a good case against all of the people who waited in the hall
Why are every officer involved?
for dereliction of duty, and that they are personally liable. This is gross.
Yes.
So
Well, that's
anyway,
why.
and obviously the school, and obviously the city.
Well, we're going to find out that's why a lot of this is going to be formed as LLCs, like most SWAT teams are now.
Yeah.
No, the litigation shield on these is going to be gross. It's like finding out the budget was this huge amount, except, that's not that weird. Same thing was true of Ferguson, too. Police are also the main source of revenue for most towns.
Oh,
Yep.
I was horrified when I heard that apparently this school district had their own set of cops. Like, just that was their only job, was to protect these schools.
Yeah, right.
They had cops specifically for that, and none of these cops
Yeah.
were at this school.
Oh no.
What the fuck?
No, there was definitely one at the school. He went to check out a teacher and literally drove past the perpetrator
Yep. They'll never.
who was hiding behind a car.
Averagely
in the
trained
parking
security
lot
folks
prior to entering the building.
are never. It's the blind spot
But he
of
stood
security.
outside for 12 minutes and shot, and this guy wasn't like, oh, there he is.
I suspect he was sent there in response to the shooting and saw, sort of Mexican-looking teacher he could go over and question, right? Meanwhile,
Now, you're not
the
gonna.
perp hid behind a car.
Cops don't see 50+ white people, right? There are some
Yeah.
things that standard security is absolutely not going to see.
Yep.
Your club bouncers are going to have a better chance at that, but
Yep.
I'm not saying tool up the bouncer kids. And I love me some bouncers.
Will it
but-
work?
Nah,
So, probably
better
not.
than this, but
Yeah.
Oh, it's certainly better than this.
It'd be hard to imagine a worse outcome than this. This
I mean,
violates
I've got some
every
ideas. We'll talk after the show's
fucking
over, but
rule.
yeah, no. Right?
You stop attacking when the guy with the gun is dead.
I don't mind if one of you forgot the day you got trained about this because you were busy thinking about the sandwich you're gonna eat for lunch, or I don't
Yeah.
fucking know what you were doing. How did all of you? Were you all going to the same sandwich place? I mean, what the fuck?
Well, it
gentlemen?
turns out they probably all worked
And
for
lady.
him,
No,
right? So, what is he doing as incident commander? And this is ridiculous.
yeah, I think pretty much once it devolves
He
up.
is getting a very nice paycheck.
110,000 a year, I think.
Oh my god.
What the fuck?
I would drown puppies professionally for that much.
Yeah. I don't rely on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. Yeah.
I say we take some of it out of his budget to get some people that actually can do some shit.
I say we take it all out of his budget and start over.
Oh, he's not gonna get
You're
fired.
not
You know
going
he's
to
not gonna
legislate
get
your way
fired.
away from.
I don't know.
No, they do. Cops do not have a duty to act. They don't. They just don't.
Abbott
Supreme Court has said it twice.
Abbott is totally pissed, and Abbott can make him go away with no trouble at all.
We'll see.
But I'm actually interested in making there be less dead kids by the end of the year.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I don't think we're going to do that by hardening the schools or by legislating, right, a gun or a thing or a... I don't know how you... I know how you legislate away failed state America, and that's your big problem.
Yeah, might want to work on that, Democrats. living
Gonna
wage.
fucking talk about it.
Right? National health care.
Republicans think
You might
all
wanna
of this
try
is
to get
A-okay just fine. Everyone should quit bitching.
No.
Windfall
No.
profit tax.
Republicans who make more than about 250,000 a year think it's okay,
Fine.
right? And they have convinced a bunch of really gullible folks that any
Well,
attempt to fix it
they've
is
banded
going to make
together
their
and hired some
situation
billionaires
worse
to- yeah.
because the brown people and the black people will get
You left
something
the
for
media
free.
out of it, but yeah.
Yeah. No,
Oh
this
yeah,
is-
the media is aggressively responsible for this as well.
Oh yeah, that's why they can't wait to talk poorly about semi-automatics and all this thing, and they're going to talk a lot about military hardware, and then we're going to get to do nothing.
And
Yeah.
we spoke.
And that's the only good part of this outcome is we didn't manage to do the second dumb shit thing.
And we spoke yesterday about how little these bans and whatever would actually help because they won't. They won't help. They won't stop anything. This is just going to keep happening.
Yep.
So the only way to truly
Federalism,
start to
You
fix
define
this-
what an assault weapon is on Monday, and by Friday, there'll be an identical weapon minus the features that made it an assault weapon.
Yeah, and we've seen that before with the bump stocks and
Absolutely.
whatever.
Well,
else
we're
and
chambered in
whatnot.
things that don't count, and like guys,
They will
don't-
always find their way around it.
Flash suppressor, forward grip, and what was the
That's what
bayonet
gave
log?
birth to the angled foregrips.
Yeah,
Was the rules against the broomstick grip.
yeah.
No, and all of which, none of it's helpful because you can get the same thing chambered in 10 millimeter and shorter.
Yeah.
Hey, no, this is just batshit madness.
Yeah.
No, the
Well,
only,
those are the recommendations you get from Democrats who know fucking nothing about weapons.
I'll give you
and
a
less
grimdark.
about
I
America.
gave you a grimdark answer last night off air, and I'll give it to you again on air, unless you think I shouldn't. My answer is the police department or the fire department.
Yep.
That they already know they jump into black holes and it sucks, and that's the job.
Yeah.
You need to open the door and know what that fire is doing, and it may There's some stuff you can do to make sure it's not going to go the one way that will kill you right there.
Yeah.
But if those don't tell you, don't do it. Open the door.
Yeah. You gotta go fight the
They're
fight.
the same ones who are going to get sent in when someone kills over with weird dots.
Yep.
Right, there's a history, right? They're the ones who are going to know that we need to call a nest team.
Yep.
Because my guys can't stop vomiting.
Yep.
Right, they're the ones who absolutely, outside of a handful of emergency room things, and I think it's going to be way harder to get doctors, and they're going to charge way more.
Yeah.
I think you could make a death squad. And it's what it would be. I would make sure that their vehicle looked different so everyone knew that we are no longer interested in arrests and prosecutions, or the armed EMTs are going to go in and secure their thing and start treating patients.
Yeah.
And I would not be a problem to that.
Yeah.
They are going to respond negatively to anything that resists. I did, while we were talking about this, come up with a good idea on it. Give me one of the semi-auto mag 12 gauge shotguns. And 12 gauge comes with you can get a 12 gauge taser round. And I don't know what happens when we stick a guy with 19 tasers or whatever. Because the first guys through the door, I expect them to empty their thing into the guy and then switch to pistols.
I would
and
say
keep
the first
shooting.
3 are taser rounds, and everything
Fine,
after
you
that
got-
is 12 gauge buckshot.
I do slugs, but
Yeah, okay. Well, you can do slugs and then do buckshot.
Yeah. But,
The point with buckshot is you shoot at the face.
yeah, I just don't want you stuck having to rack the thing because he's got the hostage and knows how to hold one.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I know what the right answer there, which is sucks to be a hostage, but
No, this is just exhausting.
Yeah.
It is. It's exhausting. I've been reading and listening and
Yeah, it's gonna be
learning new
loud before it
things,
gets
and I am just mentally and emotionally just drained.
Yep.
No, it's tragic to hear there's many
Completely
people just making noise of tragedy and terror, and that's before we even get to the real 911 calls. I'm talking about the media people and everyone who's right, all of the people who really genuinely think, how do we talk to kids about this thing that happened? And honestly, it's my only advice to you. But the left is going to shout a lot about mental health because that's how the left says monsters, and the right's going to talk a lot about monsters. And very little's going to get done. And that's what I
Totally
find
agree.
most distressing, I feel bad for everybody.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, heart, follow, review. Go to BoomerRexTonight. No
Send
spaces
money.
on Facebook for fun memes and a link to our Patreon. Give us $1. You can find us on YouTube as BoomerRex, or check your favorite podcasting service for BoomerRexTonight. We can be found on over a dozen different platforms, including Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Samsung Podcasts. And hit us up on Twitter at BRexTonight. Don't forget, if you go to Google and you Google BoomerRexTonight, no spaces, all links will lead you to us.
Right. Send us money for the airship.
Yeah, we
Coffee cans
really...
full of hundreds.
I mean, shit's getting real, folks. We need the money. Go to
Yep.
our Facebook, hit the link to our Patreon. I share one every night. We do a show.
Yep.
So we love you all, and have a good weekend. Don't forget to watch The Sky Monday night. We're gonna try to do a morning show on Monday, depending on how we feel, so that we can also remind you. So we love y'all, and we'll see you back here on a Monday for Boomer Rex tonight.
Right.